Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Two Drink Maximum, the show over two drinks and nothing else. I'm your co-host, Chase.
I'm your host, Shane.
We have a wonderful episode for you today. I'm going to say spicy episode. It's a little spicy today. We are joined today by Rebel Lynn, adult entertainment star, star of adult films, and making everybody hot and heavy all over the world for a little while now. So thank you so much for being with us, Rebel.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be on the show today.
We are so excited to have you as well. So thank you so much for coming. Normally, we start the show and we ask, what are we drinking and why? But we kind of helped R&D this drink with you.
Yes.
You kind of gave us the directive that you like bourbon and you like cherries.
Yep.
Is that kind of a flavor combination that you just kind of discovered out there? Or how did you learn that you like those two things together?
A lot of trial and error, a lot of, nightclubs drinking tequila and vodka and just not really liking it. And then I found scotch and whiskey and bourbon and I just fell in love. Like I can drink it straight. It's the only thing I drink nowadays. I don't like tequila the way that I get crazy with tequila.
Yeah.
And
everyone's got a tequila
Most
story, right?
everybody
Yeah,
does.
exactly. So I try to stay away from tequila, and then vodka is just disgusting. It just tastes nasty to me. I mean, all the vodka drinkers out there, you do you, boo, but for me, it's not my cup of tea.
What we're drinking today is kind of like we're calling it like a bourbon cherry lemonade. So what is in there is we've got a special whiskey.
Yeah, we got to shop that name a little bit.
Traverse City whiskey, where they've infused their whiskey with cherries. Got a little cherry simple syrup in there. We've got some cherries that have been soaking in syrup and ginger, and then a little lemonade. So it's kind of hopefully a refreshing kind of. It's been warm in LA the last couple of days, so hopefully it's nice and refreshing.
Good
It is delicious. Cheers.
Yeah,
It's
cheers,
delicious.
everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not
good.
bad. Because the thing I like about it is you could probably drink more of those than you should.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Yes,
It's
exactly.
the sneak up on you drink, but it's very delicious. And that bourbon in there is very, very good.
So, I mean, as we kind of mentioned at the top of the show, you're an adult performer. That is a career that I think many, many people are familiar with, but it's not really necessarily something you would find listed like on careerbuilder.com. So I guess the first question we'd love to know is, how did you really kind of get your start in the industry?
Yeah, I was 18. Well, I was about to turn 18, young, and just had no, plans. I was just open slate, ready to explore life and get into something, get my hands on something. I didn't know what. I had a couple of opportunities. America's Next Top Model wanted me on their 5 foot season.
Oh, wow.
And and so I was researching all of that, looking into it, and I had my my reservations because they have this crazy regulations that you can't horseback ride, you can't jump out of planes, you can't do so many things, and your diet and everything is so strict and restricted. And I had just come out of an extremely restricted lifestyle, as a kid. I never had opportunities, and I just wanted to explore the life and the world that was out in front of me. And so I balanced the two. I had, fun and fame, or fame and no fun. I chose the fun and fame, and I was like, I'm a very sexual person. I wanted to explore, I wanted to have fun and open up sexually and figure out who I was sexually. And, I feel like if I got into this model, they tell you who to be, they tell you how to act, they tell you what they want from you. And that's great, if you're looking for that, but I just wasn't,
So
Right.
what were some of your first reactions to actually getting involved in the industry? Like from the time someone told you all this stuff on the phone, you communicated with them, and you finally got out there, and like day one, you're there. What were you surprised about, or what was new to you?
I think a shocking thing for me, I don't think I thought about the whole STD testing part of it. So when I first got out there, they took me to go to it's talent testing services, and an incredible service, by the way, to go get tested. And I was like, oh yeah, duh, that makes sense, but I had never thought of it. And so I was like, wait a minute, I'm about to get, blood tested and everything. And, now it's way more invasive because we have swabs.
Sure.
So it's even more, and if I was just getting in and I was also getting swabbed, that'd be another shock. But luckily it was just blood and urine, and I was like, it just was a shocker. I was like, this is real. Like I'm actually doing this, and so before I even got onto a set, I was being pricked.
But pricked for safety.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yes. And I know my status, all the time, 24/7. I know where I'm at, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, I get tested every 14 days, and you have your average American, who get tested once a year, when they go see their doctor, so it's just the safety level of it is extreme.
Which is it's reassuring, right?
Yeah.
For
That's
anybody who's thinking about it, that it's like, no, it's taken very seriously.
Yeah,
You guys
exactly.
are kept very safe. That's pretty incredible. You had said that you're kind of a sexual person by nature. I mean, do you feel like getting into this career kind of really helped expand that, or just kind of express a side of yourself that you just really weren't getting the opportunity to anywhere else?
I was young. I was only 18, so I had only been with a handful of partners. I mean, when I left home, I kind of went through this risque phase, where I had, multiple partners, and I just played around and all this and that. And it just kind of opened my eyes to the possibility, beyond, just having sex in, some guy's basement. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
It's not the time of adult film.
Yes, exactly. And multiple different scenarios. I mean, I've been stepmom. Well, now I've been stepmom, but I was stepsister, stepdaughter, to moms and to dads. And I was having sex with my gym teacher and my, my Spanish teacher, and, just all these different scenarios, like my dad's best friend, like role playing, and so I got to put myself in the shoes of, per se these people, and just kind of like explore these like scenarios, and it was just fun, role playing and putting yourself into a character, and it's just so fun, the things that these people come up with, the writers, come up with, and
yeah, that sounds like the storylines have gotten a lot more intricate since someone's delivering a pizza.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously, it sounds like you've been doing this for quite a while, and you've been kind of at the top level for a number of years now. I'm really curious to hear your opinion on how the industry has changed, right, through your eyes since when you got in and when you got in now. I mean, I think from the outsider's perspective, the biggest thing that's changed recently has been the advent of OnlyFans, right, where it looks like it gives folks like you a little bit more control, a little bit more intimacy with your fans. But are there other kind of things that have changed in the industry since you started that people might not know about?
Oh yeah. I mean, where do I start? Yes. At first it was ManyVids, type online things where you could post your stuff, or you could make your own content, or you could make your own website, this and that. But OnlyFans blew up in a way that none of them, I think, ever did. And it just changed the industry and how people work and what jobs people took. And it really flipped it upside down. COVID also really affected the industry incredibly. Brazzers becoming, such a huge conglomerate, really, really affected the industry as well. The testings now that there's been adding, safety precautions for us performers, like swabs. Now you swab your mouth, you swab, you swab everything, and it's an extra, precaution for us. And there's been a lot of changes. There's been changes with agencies. Certain agencies are no longer as big as they used to be, anymore. And so that makes room for, other agencies. I was independent for most of my career, so I never really had to deal with the agencies. I just kind of kept it that way. I never really trusted anybody. There are good ones out there, but I just heard a lot of horror stories, and I decided to just go it alone, do my own thing, all by myself, with a couple of people behind me helping me along the way.
Good.
Everybody needs a support system in their life. So with those changes, as OnlyFans shows up and social media picks up real big, I'm going to say in the past 15 years, I would say that's really become ingrained in the adult entertainment industry as far as the level of access people have to performers in the world. What have you noticed in that interaction? Because it seems like whatever back when everything was on film or whatever, just like traditional media, a movie star was this unique special little thing that only occasionally happened in the world. Not to devalue anybody's talent or ability, but now there is a bunch of I would call noise, but there's been a democratization of people who have the ability to go into your industry. Do you view anybody that is just on OnlyFans as different than someone who does like proper films?
Oh, this
Is there any kind of classism going on?
This is a
inside the
dangerous
industry?
question.
I know.
It's a very dangerous question. But yes, I do. And not any lower of a level. You know, I feel that porn stars are porn stars. If you haven't been on a Hustler set, if you haven't been on a Browser set, if you haven't been on a Porn Pro set, if you haven't been on these sets that just make porn, I don't consider you a porn star. You know, if you're these little, shoot, at home and put them on OnlyFans and all of this, and there are people who do OnlyFans and who kill. And so it's not to take away from what they do. It's just saying that you're not then a porn star. You're not somebody who went on set, sat in a makeup chair for 3 hours, 4 hours, got your hair and makeup done, met your coworker that day, signed a bunch of paperwork, and then had lights, camera, action all around you, a sound guy, a light guy, a director, the PA, you have all of these people around you. I've got some guy to bring me water if I needed to, that is, to me, the glamorous lifestyle of a porn star. And I love it. I fell in love with it. And that separates, I feel, from an OnlyFans model, somebody who is at home and is like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to fuck my boyfriend, today. Or there's that level. And then there's also people who have their scripts laid out and their, OnlyFans stuff and are super on top of it. Like, I'm going to name drop here Tucci Cash, who is a phenomenal OnlyFans creator. She's a wonderful person as well. And she has created this persona and this company almost of OnlyFans, creation that is just mind-blowing. But she isn't technically a porn star, right? Because she doesn't shoot mainstream porn.
Right.
So I feel there is a difference, but I don't think that either of them are beneath each other.
It's like indie bands and pop music.
Yeah, exactly. And then on top of that, you have your cam girls, who wake up and get ready for work, and instead of driving to work, she turns on her laptop.
Right.
You know what I
Goes,
mean?
to a different room.
Exactly. So there are different levels and different things, and they're all very different, and they're all very lucrative. I just don't feel that they should all be lumped into the exact same category. We are adult workers, we are performers, but we just perform and work differently, Yeah.
Well, to Chase's point, I mean, because of the democratization of technology, there's so many more ways to kind of get into the business, I think. And I would be curious to know if you feel like for anybody to reach the level of success that you've had, do you need to kind of come into the industry now with a gimmick? Do you have to do something kind of special and different, or is it just enough to be excited to be there? And obviously you have to look good and all those things, but do you need a gimmick to really make a splash in the industry anymore?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if I would necessarily say you need a gimmick. Gimmicks are like a crutch in a way. You know what I mean? It will get you so far.
Sure.
Because at some point it does get played out,
Right.
whatever that may be. It can definitely help. But I just feel there is a influx of women coming in the industry from all over nowadays. It's not like it used to be where, people would have to reach out to, there were recruiters, who how I got in,
Sure.
who would reach out to people who they saw online and are like, hey, let's do this. But now there's just, there are thousands upon thousands of women trying to come into the industry every single day. So to set yourself apart from the others, I really feel it's personality. It's how you carry yourself. It's if you have a business mindset, to be able to move forward in this industry, you can always come into the industry and be like, hey, I want to shoot. They're going to put you on set. They're going to. It's up to you and your personality and your performance that's really going to bring you on to set the next time. So yeah, you can have a gimmick, that'd be great, and I'm not saying that that's gonna hurt you, I'm just saying that it's not going to be the end all be all for
Don't
a career.
put all your hopes into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you had said in an interview before that you don't feel like that there's a lot of getting over in the industry anymore, right? That there aren't companies that are just kind of deciding like, you're our new it girl. We're gonna work the mechanisms of our corporation to kind of make you a star. So it sounds like you feel like that it's a lot more on the individual performer to kind of get yourself over to that level now.
Yeah, it's hugely that. I think that it always has been. I mean, yes, there has been agents that are like, you're it, let's go. But they're saying that because they also see that you perform, you can bring to the table what it is, like Adriana Chechnik, name dropping again, phenomenal performer, just out of this world, because that's who she is.
Sure.
That's how she has sex outside of camera. You know what I mean? She is just mind-blowingly amazing. And so sometimes somebody's going to see that and be like, all right, let's go. Let's do this. Let's write it out, because, if you have it, you have it. Nowadays, I think with the whole OnlyFans, you're able to produce your own content, your own stuff. You don't really need that. You don't need an agent driving you. It helps, for awards and all of this and that. But I think it's just different now.
I mean, how competitive is the industry even with all the OnlyFans people in the world? Like, as far as I don't know how to say it exactly. The top shelf of performers in the world. There's a lot of competition between y'all, or does everybody sort of get along and stay copacetic?
Yeah, it's funny because we actually we had this conversation last night. The competition wise, it doesn't really affect us on a surface level because we aren't competing in the same space. You know what I mean? Because we're not on set with each other.
Sure.
We're not seeing what each other are putting out on a daily basis. We're not watching porn.
Right.
I mean, we watch our porn. Of course we watch our porn, but we're not going into our quote unquote competitors, porn site and being like, oh, what is she doing? I have to one up it. That's really, I mean, as far as I've seen, and I can't speak for everybody, but I'm pretty sure that that's not how it happens. The only competition is the awards, but there's no control over that. There's nothing that you can do or say to one-up somebody on their performance because you're not knowing exactly what performance is being listed as for the awards.
And I would hope that there's a little bit of an inside community feeling to it, right? Where it's like,
definitely,
that there is kind of like, hey, we all work in this industry, right? Just like whether it's the film industry or anything else, where it's like we're all inside the circle instead of outside. So there's a camaraderie.
Well, definitely, we're on the same sets.
Sure.
We all fuck the same dick. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there is camaraderie. There is a circle of people that if we are of the same caliber, we're going to draw together. You know what I mean? I have many friends in this industry who are on my same wavelength.
Well, it's really cool that you've been able to find a community like that of like-minded souls and people that love what they do and do what they love and all that good stuff. It sounds like in our research we've learned that you've been pulling more technology into some of your creations here. You've been working with AI recently.
Yes.
I was going to say, that's the competition, is keeping up with technology. Right? I imagine,
How can you beat the
So,
computer?
Yeah.
So what have you been doing with AI and just explain that a little bit.
I work with a company called Spicy AI.
Great name.
Yeah, they're really amazing. They've taken over some of my workload. I mean, there are people who ask for certain things that I either don't have the ability to do or don't want to do.
You can't be in two places at once, right?
Exactly. So, there's the option of having my AI do it. Right now, we're just in the photo phase. We're working on video. But imagine you wanted to see me in Hawaii riding a shark. You want to, whatever it is, you can get that with Spicy AI.
Yeah.
It
riding
is
a shark.
Absolutely incredible. My AI is...
I feel like we just jumped into a sci-fi conversation.
Yes, exactly.
Like, wow, this is amazing.
My AI is RebelLynnAI.com.
Nice, okay.
So you can go find it there, and you guys can go figure it out. I mean, see if you like it.
I'm just going to make you do mundane stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, sure.
Show me Rebel recording a podcast.
It's also not just, something that you want to see, but also conversations that you want to talk out and talk about. I mean, if you're shy and you have girl problems, and you don't know how to approach a conversation with a female, some people just shut down. You can work on that. with my spicy AI. You can talk with her and get comfortable speaking to a woman and having her speak back, because we do voice. She has my voice. She knows everything about me. I mean, she can answer any question about me that you wish, and it's 98% accurate. It's insane.
That a little weird?
It's scary. It's so scary, but the scary is good, you know, because you know, this AI is something that's going to happen. We have no choice in the matter. It's just the world is evolving. It's already here. There's no point fighting it. I don't feel, you know, there are people who are like, we can't let this happen. And I understand that. I understand the fear. But for me, I have no choice. Yeah. I am a public figure. My face is everywhere. My voice is everywhere. Yeah. So it's very easy for somebody to be like, you know what, let me just make a bunch of money off of her face and voice. I can't let that happen. Yeah. So I didn't. I signed with Spicy AI, and I own all of me. I own me. Nice. And nobody can now go take my voice or my image and be like, they will be sued. I mean, a warning out there for those who would like to steal my image. You can't do it.
Don't do it.
You know, so it protects me against, you know, against that.
Yeah, which is future-proofing yourself. Because we're 100% on your side, which is it's coming.
It's coming.
Like it's that you cannot fight it.
There's
anymore.
no fighting it.
Film entertainment has had a number of strikes and debates. This past few years,
coming
trying
there
trying to find those protections and trying to figure out it may work. So it's really cool that you're in front of it and taking control of it.
Yeah.
Has it gotten to the point where, like you said, you're still working on video, but voice wise and like picture wise, it's there? Has it gotten to a point? Have you seen some pictures or heard your voice where like, that is a little spooky?
Oh
it's like, that sounds like me, but I didn't say that.
I've had a full blown conversation with my spicy AI.
No kidding.
Yes, I have. You know, just to see, you know, what because I also want to work out the kinks with the company, you know, and so, you know, I sat there and I chatted with her, and it's like frightening. Wow. it's frightening because, I mean, I even played it actually for my sister. And she's like, I don't want to hear that. That's so personal. I was like, but that's me, right? And she's like, yeah, why are you showing this to me? I'm like, that's not me. It's a robot. Nice. You know, so
crazy.
It's so crazy.
That's your own
West.
You fooled your own sister. So there you go. That's about as high as marks as you can get.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, speaking of AI too, or speaking of technology, I should say, it seems like another interesting new thing in the adult world is VR porn. And I think you've done some work in that, right?
Yeah. I mean, VR, for me, it feels like old news because I've been doing it since I was like 20. I mean, it's been a while.
Well, I'm curious to just ask, you know, from somebody who I've never been on a set like that before, what is kind of the main difference of performing on a VR thing? Because I would imagine it's different where there's a camera in your face instead of another performer.
It's hugely different.
Is it weird?
It's hugely different. It has way more challenges because it's not just a camera in my face. It's a contraption in my face. It is a big thing. Like it's hard to describe. It's on this rolling, you know, it's giant. First of all, it's up to the
it looks like a robot almost.
Yeah, well, not the robot. It looks like this. The mic stand, but it's huge. With the base is like round and it rolls and it can barely fit through doorways. And the camera itself has ears on the side of it, 2 eyeballs, which are the cameras. So there's 2 cameras that focus like eyeballs. You can't touch them because they'll smudge and it's a whole thing.
That's an hour reset of
everybody at home.
Yes. They have silicone ears on either end that's shaped exactly like an ear, has the ear hole, eardrum, you know, whatever, and you can lean in and whisper in it, and you know,
the ASMR side of it.
Yes, it's so very specific, and you have to fuck around it. I have to, it's usually Mish and Doggy. If I'm doing cowgirl, I have to position myself so that I'm not hitting the camera, but I'm close enough that it can see me and hear me, you know. And
that's where it becomes work.
You know, it's work.
If people don't understand,
that's
the part that makes it work.
Yes, it's hot, it's sexy, you know what I mean? But it's work. And for the guy too, he has to lean back behind the camera. He can't make noises because it's gonna pick up, and you know, it's insane. It is really absolutely insane. So yeah, VR, it's incredible.
It's a lot. It's a lot of different work, right?
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it.
I'm tripped out by the ears.
Yeah, the ears. I know. I couldn't get over it the first day. They're like, "Oh yeah, you can lean in and whisper." I was like, "I'm gonna lean in and whisper and talk to these ears all day long." I was like, "Can I lick them?" Like, I was like, So much fun.
You can be honest with us though. Have you accidentally ever like kicked the camera or hit?
I've definitely, like, my nose has touched the camera. We've had to cut and wipe it off, and you know, so yeah, there's definitely been accidentals there. I've never broken equipment.
Oh, that's good.
Knock on all of the wood.
We'll knock on wood
I
for
have
you.
not broken equipment, so there's that, you know.
Good, yeah, because I would imagine, that would be a longer reset. It's like,
Yes.
oh no, we broke the camera.
Right, exactly.
Oh god.
Oh, that is fascinating about the VR stuff. I wanted to
Yeah.
circle back to get a little more heady, forgive the pun. You talked about people talking to your chat bot and all that stuff. I was curious how you feel as far as people using porn as self-actualization and like reclaiming their sexuality. Because you'd mentioned people like being shy and not be able to communicate with women, whatever the dynamic they're going for. Like, do you see what you create actually like helping people in the world, or is it just come across as you just titillating the world and they are loving it and exciting it, or you improve people's lives with your ability to have incredible sex, I guess is my question.
I have helped people. I know that I have helped people. I've had fans reach out to me and tell me that I have helped them with their whatever, if it's their marriage or if there's their sex life or it's their confidence and their ability to speak to women, to be able to get out there and, you know what, I'm going to try this, you know, and or see a move that I did and, you know, try to recreate it. Women being like, you know what, I didn't think I could do it and I actually tried it and I did it, you know. So yes, I do feel that there is a portion of the world that's not just fapping off and, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And that's it. You know, I think that there are ways that porn can touch people's lives that people don't really think about, you know, and that's okay. You know, you can go on for a quickie, you know, and do that, but then you can also apply it to your day-to-day life and try to, you know, figure out something that you didn't know needed to be figured out, you know, before. So yeah, I do think that it can help people, especially the AI, in ways that you don't really think about. I mean, I'm sure that there's somebody out there alone who's afraid of women, who has social anxiety, who feels like they're going to be alone forever, who finds my spicy AI and it's like, you know what, now I can talk to somebody and they're going to talk back to me. Now I can ask them questions and maybe I can work up the nerve to be able to go out and do that with a human being, you know, regardless if it's friendship, if it's romantic or no. You know, some people are just so paralyzed by their social anxiety and their fear that they can't do that. They can't make real connections. And, you know, as silly as it may seem, a silly sex robot may actually help that.
Yeah.
You know?
You better believe it. And I mean, we're certainly firm believers in the notion that the work in the entertainment industry, the industry is puts a lot of good out in the world, right?
Yeah.
And one thing that we've certainly noticed it seems like in the last 2 or 3 years, is that it seems like a lot of adult performers like yourself are now starting to appear on much more mainstream stuff, whether it's TV shows or movies. I mean, obviously podcasts, right? Yeah. And I would be curious to know your opinion if kind of like the gimmick thing we talked about earlier, if it's almost like, just like in the film industry or TV industry, there's so many people and there's so many things that you have to kind of make a noise and kind of make it, you know, go out there and get on the Tonight Show and keep yourself relevant. Or we hope, do you feel like it's more that because people are starting to come around to the idea that the industry is not as taboo as it once was thought, and people are just getting over that, and so it's like, hey, welcome to this arena, right? That's what we're hoping. But
Most everybody in the world seems like they're locked into like that 70s view of how porn worked and like how it was gross and skeezy people and creepy and, you know, exploitative.
Right.
But I think feels like it's come a very long way from there.
Well, I think it's a combination of desensitization to it and also the shift that porn itself has made to make working spaces better for performers. I'm going to be real and honest here. Porn used to be a free-for-all. It really did. Drugs, sex, rock and roll, ba, 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 ba. You know, bing, bang, let's go. That's how porn used to be. I mean, the sets were orgies all day long. You know, the parties. Oh, God, the parties. Just outrageous.
So you're saying that was like when you got your start?
When I first came in, it was trickling to be more normal. You know, it was still crazy when I first got in, and it's not really like that anymore. But 5 years before I got in, I've heard so many stories from my closest friends, from Katie Morgan, to Evan Stone, and these people are telling me stories that are just like, oh my God, that actually happened, and just drugs out on the table everywhere, and that's just also a testament to the time that they were in.
Sure.
Because 70s, 80s, that was rock and roll and sex and drugs, that was the time for it. And I think times have definitely changed. There's also rules and regulations in place to help keep performers safe, because there as much fun as it was, there was a lot of dark and devious things that were happening, and that's just the truth. People have, and it's known, people have come out and spoken up against it because they can now. Women don't have to feel afraid to speak out against what has happened to them anymore.
Good.
And women used to be afraid to speak out against what would happen because they'd be blackballed. They wouldn't be listened to. It'd be swept under the rug. And it's not like that anymore, because you can't sweep something under the rug when millions of people now know about it.
Sure.
That's what happened with social media. So the industry itself has cleaned up because of just so many negative things that have happened that they don't want happening. You know, nobody wants. I mean, there are dark people in the world, but I feel and I hope that the better part of humanity doesn't want bad things to happen. You know what I mean? So I feel like if we all work together and we all try to make our safe spacer or our space safer, then our space will be safer, and then there's also the acceptance that women have sex, and we like it too, and that's not just in porn, that is in mainstream. There are gay rights has made major advances, and women's rights are through the roof, and then we have the trans stuff that's going on, and I feel like all of that is just kind of like, in a way, desensitizing people to, oh my God, a dick and a pussy, oh my God,
no, it's porn.
Oh wow,
Exactly.
It's not like that anymore, you know what I mean? So I feel like there's a desensitization of it as well, so it's a mixture, a hodgepodge of all of that.
Well, good. Well, it's great
As
that
long
I
as
think
it's all moving towards safer for the people working in those environments.
I agree.
Yeah, exactly. And a changing of attitudes, I think,
Yes.
right? Yeah. I think the only changing attitude that's happening right now is that there's a negative attitude that we've got 3 empty glasses that we're staring at here. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more Rebel in just a bit. Chase, I don't know about you, but it does feel like ever since COVID hit, we spend so much time in our homes, and our homes have kind of become our office, and it's been this kind of weird blend of professional and home. I find that occasionally it is difficult to become creative in the house. Sometimes you got to get out and you got to find a different space to kind of let that creativity fly. And we are excited to share with our listeners that if you are in the LA area, we have the solution for you. We are proudly sponsored by The Muse Rooms, which is a creative co-working space that is here. They have a Hollywood location and they have a Burbank location, 2 convenient locations for you, that is ready to serve all of your creative space needs. If you want to rent space for a day to work on that screenplay, or if you need to rent a conference room for a big meeting that you have with a team that doesn't meet regularly, The Muse Rooms has got you covered. It's a great space. It's a great owner. It's a great vibe too. It's just a really cool, you'll get points with the youngsters.
Oh, yeah.
Being cool for renting out this
It's the hip
space.
spot to be, indeed.
It definitely is. So give the Muse Rooms a check if you for all of your creative co-working space needs at themuse, M-U-S-E, rooms.com. And now, let's move on to part 2 of the show. And we've got 3 full glasses, so we're back with Rebel Lynn.
3 delicious full glasses.
3 delicious full
Cheers.
glasses.
Lemonade
Yeah,
going.
cheers. Yeah, no, gets better.
It's bad.
It gets better with every drink, I think.
It's
right?
bad that it's that good.
So, as we get back from the break, I want to address a rumor that I heard about you. Is
Very
it
serious
true?
rumor.
Do you collect Beanie Babies?
Yeah, I do.
Do you really? How did you get into it? Your husband's over here shaking his head. He's like, oh no.
This is why people are here,
Yeah.
to hear the Beanie Baby goss.
Okay, I don't really know. Actually, I do know how it started.
I was going to say, if you don't know.
It's kind of a dark story, though.
Oh no.
It is. I'm going to try to get into this without getting into it because
Sure.
it's... Yes. I had something traumatic happen to me as a child. And when people intervened, social workers and everything. They took me to this safe place, you know, to talk about it.
Sure.
And they gave me a Beanie Baby.
Nice.
And it made me feel safe, you know. And so every time I had one of those visits, which ended up being a lot through my life, I just had them and I collected them, and they became just kind of this safe, kind moment in my life, you know, refreshing, you know. And so I just kept with it, you know, as an adult, you know. And I, you know, when I see one that I really love and I'm like, oh, that's the one, you know, I get it. And there was a moment where I was doing an LA trip, and I was driving from LA to Vegas and driving back home, and I showed up at the house with like 10. And my husband says it's like 20 or whatever. We have different numbers. It doesn't matter. It was a lot.
Say 15. How about that?
It was a lot. Okay, it was probably too much, but I couldn't say no. Whatever. And so I pull them all out, and my husband looked at me. He goes, "Do you want a house made out of Beanie Babies?" Yeah. And I was like, "No." He goes, "Then stop." I was like, okay. He's like, okay, from now on, I buy your Beanie Babies. So he does. He surprises me with Beanie Babies every once in a while. So it's just a happy, safe, you know, safe thing.
Do we have a favorite Beanie Baby, or do we have a rare one?
I was going to say, what's your prized possession? And then what's your white whale? What's the one that you don't have that you're like, that's on my list? I got it in my crosshairs.
I want one that's my birthday.
Okay.
Because they all have their own birthdays.
Oh, okay.
It's just my birthday is November 25, and it's a turkey.
Yeah.
And I hate it.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got stuck with that
one.
It's
so boring, you know what I mean? So I want
birthday.
them to make one that's November 25 that's not a fucking turkey.
Yeah.
You know? So that. And then, I mean, I have so many. I love the ones with the pretty eyes that are like the super soft ones. I have a unicorn one. I have a dog unicorn one. I love those ones. Those are super cute with the sparkly horns. They're adorable. But now, because I have a son, they're not my Beanie Babies.
Oh, no.
He found my Beanie Baby collection.
Yeah.
Every parent ever learns this.
Yeah, there was no way that I'd be like, no, son, you can't play with those stuffed animals. Those are mommy's. That's just awful. What kind of human being does that?
That makes you a nerd, though, because you're like, those aren't toys, those are collectibles.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. Like, I freaked out that day. I was like, what do I do? And I looked at my husband. I was like, baby, what? They're mine. I don't know what to do. And I just, whatever. They're his now. He plays with them and loves them. And he lines them up and arranges them by color and by size. And he's adorable. He'll take all of the dog ones and set them over here and, you know, separate them by animal. It's just adorable to watch him play with something that is so meaningful to me, you know, and he finds meaning in them in his own way. So it's beautiful.
That's cool that you're passing along kind of like they made you feel safe, and perhaps they're now doing the same for him. So that's cool that you're passing that on. Yeah.
And it also makes me have an interesting thought of the fact that I don't imagine most people think someone in your line of work would have just a regular family life in the world. Can you articulate how that might be different, or if it's just regular everyday family business for you? As far as how you operate, or
are you talking about my immediate family, like my son and my husband?
Yeah, just having a
I'm mom.
Yeah.
When I'm at home, I am changing dirty diapers. I'm feeding my son. You know, I'm running around chasing him. I've got a mom bun in my hair. I've probably got vomit on my sweater. You know what I mean? It's
I feel like
so typical.
People in your line of work get probably hypersexualized as far as in everybody's brains in the world. So it's interesting to understand that, you're doing laundry on the weekends.
Exactly. And I do the exact same thing. You know, I got to feed myself. I got to feed my family. I cook dinner. You know, me and my husband, we love to cook. And, you know, so we cook and we make different things, you know, and we watch fucking Survivor on the weekends. You know what I mean? Like, we are very typical, you know, loving family. My son is just shining star, you know, he's my everything. So, you know, when I'm doing something, the first thought in my mind is my son. You know, what can I do with my son? Or, you know, if somebody invites me out, can I take my son? If not, I have to get the nanny. You know, it's very typical mom life. I mean, I'm a wife, you know, I have to worry about my husband and, you know, his snoring at night. You know,
Yeah.
you know, so very very typical stuff. I mean, it can be hard to make friends outside of porn.
Sure.
Because a lot of people, women can be worried. Oh, she's a porn star, so automatically I'm going to fuck your man. Obviously, duh.
Yeah.
Would expect
You
it
know what I
triggers
mean? Sure, yeah.
immediately their own insecurities in the world.
Exactly. And so it can be hard to make real connections with other women who
Sure.
aren't in the industry. And I do. I have wonderful friends who aren't in the industry who know what I do. I'm not somebody, and there are performers who like to keep it separate and like to keep it quote unquote a secret, from the people in their lives, but I can't. I don't operate that way. So it's either you accept and love me for who I am, or you don't deserve to be a part of my life.
Sure.
That's just how I see it. So yeah.
Just because people watch you work doesn't mean that your life operates any differently, right, than anybody else's. You have, a fairly routine home life, which I think is kind of, is people would be interested to learn, right? But they shouldn't be,
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you mentioned vacation. We know you like to travel as well. Where have some places that you've been recently that you liked? And then where's the next spot that is on the list if we got to go here?
Recently, because recently I had my son. So I've just been mom.
Okay.
I spent my time pregnant, and I was just being pregnant, and then spent the last almost 3 years now being mom.
Sure.
I haven't traveled too far outside of, where I need to go for work. I've been to New York, Florida, LA. I live in Vegas. But, that's just because, mommy's got to do what mommy's got to do. I have to travel for work. I'll travel for podcasts. I do tours in New York.
Sure.
And so that type of traveling I do, that's just consistent. As far as like traveling for pleasure, I've been to Budapest, Holland, Poland, mostly everywhere in the United States. Well, the big places. Next on my list, it's a hard one. I debate. I think Hawaii.
Nice.
My little sister just moved out there.
Nice. What island?
Honolulu.
Okay. I think that's the big one. I say that
Or
like I know,
Hawaii.
but I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah. She's where the base is.
Okay.
Yeah. But she just moved out there. Her husband's in the army, so
Nice.
they got
Makes
stationed
sense.
out there. Yeah. So I want to go out there. I haven't been to Hawaii yet.
Nice.
Insane,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
So
Also
definitely
never
wanna
been,
do
so tell
that.
me how it is whenever you get there.
I will.
I feel like you'll beat me to it.
You'll come with me. Why not? Let's go.
Well, what about Vegas? I mean, you currently live in Vegas. I mean, what would be as someone who lives there? I would love to get some recommendations from a Vegas insider of everybody recommends the touristy places, right? The casinos. Yes, I get it. But what would be some spots on your list that people who come to Vegas might not necessarily know about?
Valley of Fire.
Okay.
Gorgeous hiking area.
Oh,
Camping.
it's a hiking trail.
Hiking and camping. Well, no, not Valley of Fire isn't camping. Red Rock is camping. But just beautiful sights. I mean, you can get outside of most of the light pollution. So at night you see the stars, and it's just beautiful stargazing. And then campgrounds out there. Really, really great. The Red Rock Casino. I mean, if you want a casino outside of the Strip,
Sure.
It's just a wonderful casino. The South Point Casino, just great, hometown, type casino places. Downtown Summerlin, wonderful shopping and wonderful food.
Nice.
Is out there, like Jing. The restaurant Jing is just incredible. Trying to think. Do you have any idea, baby? But you know.
Yeah.
What are the places that we
Husband.
love?
Defers suggestions.
Yeah, what are the places that we love? I know that there's more. Yeah, downtown has so much. Then there's Fremont. Then there's Fremont Street, which is the original Las Vegas,
Right,
which
of
is
course.
Where-
Old Town
wonderful.
Vegas, right?
Where
Yeah.
shouldn't people go in Vegas?
Fremont.
Fair enough.
Good and bad.
It's good, but it's scary sometimes, just keep your head on a swivel when you're out there. Circus just don't go.
Just don't go
They're
to Circus
actually,
Circus?
yeah, they're actually gonna either renovate it or knock it down completely. Something's happening with that, so that's good.
I mean, people don't like the trippy 60s circus aesthetic anymore. What are you
It's
talking
so
about?
bad. It's not circus anymore. It's Urcus. You know. So yeah, it's great. Vegas is a great place to be. It's a growing city. There's so much opportunity out there for growth and for entertainment. The food is, oh my God.
Yeah,
I'm a foodie, so
What I remember about being out there.
whatever you want, you can find out there, and you can find the most simplest form of it, or you can find the most extravagant form
The
of
Michelin
it.
star
yeah,
version of it,
exactly.
right?
Entire buffet of it, or whatever you want.
Exactly. It's wonderful. So, yeah.
So I'll ask this. We have a quote from you. We're curious if you still stand by this quote. It's very strange for me to imagine that people want to know who I am and what I do. It's great to be recognized and ask for autographs.
Aww.
Do you still enjoy that experience if people recognize you and ask you for
remember
autographs?
when I said that too. That was like very shortly after I got into the industry. That was like my first AVN that I said that. Yes, I do still stand by that. It's still pretty shocking, you know, that people could notice me down the street. You know, sometimes I forget, you know, I'm famous, you know, I can't go certain places, you know, I can't tag my location when I'm there, you know, because people will show up, you know, so I have to be careful, but it's still shocking, you know, that that's something, you know, that is a norm for me, you know, and that people want that a drawing of my name, you know, is important to some people, you know, so it's pretty cool.
It's not good that you mentioned that you can't tag your location on things. That does lead into another point that I wanted to ask you about. The concept of parasocial relationships. I don't know if you've ever heard this term. This is something that develops when people are interacting with media, specifically social media. People will interact with a person online or an entity online or a brand online and sort of conflate that with having an actual relationship with that person. It's gotten much worse with social media in today's day and age.
Yeah.
But how often do you experience people that feel a little too comfortable with you or think that they know you just for the fact that they've seen your works? I feel like this is something that probably happens from the looks that I'm seeing happening.
Yeah. I have a couple of, I mean,
you don't need to call anybody out specifically, but
no, definitely not. I try to separate that though and not take it too personally, you know, because it can be easy to be like scared, you know, in that situation. I've been stalked, you know, I've had people comment and, you know, as if they have authority on my life and tell me to do certain things in a certain way. And, oh, you should do this in your next scene because I like it. You know, it's very like, I don't give a fuck, you know, sort of deal. Like I love my fans. I really, really
because
do.
you exist in a world of fantasy for most people. It seems like that could run into some real issues in like actual life.
Right. It's like I'm an object or, you know, and you can dictate to me, you know, how I perform or what I do. But in all honesty, it's my performance. It's what I do. It's what I feel comfortable doing and how I feel comfortable portraying myself. And, you know, so yeah, I've definitely had people, you know, get too close, you know, and sometimes it can be very scary and sometimes it can be really flattering, you know, and just nice, you know, and some people I have fans who just send me, you know, a couple bucks here and there every week, you know, just to get coffee or, you know, get my nails done or something, you know, and that's wonderful, you know. It's just crossing the boundary between reality and online, you know, can be a little off-putting, you know, if it's done in a creepy way. Don't be creepy.
Well, and that kind of leads to my next question. Since we have this kind of opportunity for anybody who's listening, who's a fan, if someone were to see you out in public, what would be the correct way to approach you to say hello? Is there a decorum that you'd like to kind of establish?
Do they bow
to say,
first?
You know, bow.
Just, you know, kiss the ring. No, I think first and foremost is just kind of realize who I'm with, and what is going on around me. If I'm at dinner and I'm trying to enjoy my food and, you know, I look as though I'm non-approachable, don't approach, you know, and I think that's just with anybody.
Regular people
even your coworker, you know what I mean? You shouldn't see them at dinner, you know, with their wife and looking like he had a long day and be like, hey, Tom, you know, I want to get this conversation going. You know, you shouldn't do that. I think that's just like courtesy, you know, common. And then, if I'm with my family, if I'm with my son, don't walk up to me when I'm with my son.
Yeah,
sure.
That's just rude, I feel. I'm a mom. My first priority is to my child and the safety of said child. I don't know who you are. I don't know what your intentions are.
Sure.
So automatically my guard is going to be up. Automatically I'm not that porn star that you see on camera. I'm a mom and I'm going to protect my kid. And that means that I'm probably not going to talk to some stranger who's seen me fuck on film. And that's no matter if you're coming from a good place or no. I just, that's very clear. If I'm in a social setting and I'm around friends and it's been known that other people around know, oh, hey, that's the porn star, blah, blah, blah. I'm obviously in a setting where I'm open to communication. And that is the best time to catch me is when, because there are plenty of events and plenty of spaces that I'm going to be at that people around me know that's Rebel Lynn.
They're built for that interaction.
Yes, exactly. It's built for that interaction. Come, say hi to me. Oh my God, I'm a huge fan. How are you doing? Shake my hand. If I give you a hug, sometimes I'm in a very hugging mood, I'll hug you. Don't grab my ass. Don't, I feel like these are things that shouldn't be said, but they've got to be said.
But sometimes you have to say them. Yeah,
don't cross a line and grab a tit or grab my ass or go in for 3-4 hugs. You know what I mean? Just be proper with it, because I am a very kind person. I am a very open person. Anywhere that I go, everybody knows who I am, and I don't mind it that way. It's just very certain settings, that I obviously don't want to be bothered. If I'm in a booth, with my husband, and I have no makeup on, probably not the best place to come see me. Usually if I have makeup on, you're good to talk to me. If I've got my lashes, we're good.
That's the secret ingredient, I think. Yeah, very good. Well, good. Well, hopefully, your fans that are listening, please be respectful and,
it's so welcome.
Yeah. You're a lovely, warm person, but there's a time for it, and there's, and learn that boundary.
Definitely.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. What would be the one thing that you wish that the general public knew about your line of work? What seems to be the biggest misconception that you wish you could change or that you could explain to people? Because I feel like it's an industry that people have a lot of preconceived notions about what it is and what it isn't.
Everyone most certainly has an opinion, whether or not it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
I'm trying to break stigmas. I'm trying to, let people see that I'm a person. I have feelings and emotions and complicated, intricate way of life, just like everybody else,
You're not just an object?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Oh my God.
What?
Shocking. Yeah.
The secret's out. I have a life. I have a family. I'm a mom. I'm a sister. I'm a wife. I'm a best friend. I'm a daughter to somebody out there at some point. I have so many facets about me. That's not just my job.
Sure.
And I really hope that through certain avenues and certain projects that I'm doing, that people will be able to finally understand that and see that for themselves, because nobody can change anybody's mind but themselves.
Yes.
So,
exactly.
And I'm not here trying to force that. I'm just here trying to give a different outlook and a different perspective on it so that people can change their own minds and be open to the possibility that maybe I'm not just some degenerate who wants to bang your neighbor, your son or your husband. I'm not trying to, I'm safe around your family. I'm safe around your kids. You know what I mean? I'm a good person. Just because I decide to take my clothes off, for my job doesn't diminish the amazing, wonderful person that I am.
Yeah.
I think that's incredible. It takes a lot of work because, we exist in a culture that sex is literally used for everything, but you're not allowed to say you enjoy it.
Exactly.
So it's a very strange interaction that most of culture and society has with sexual drives and blah, blah, blah. So it's really cool that's something that you're trying to demystify for people. So I thank you for doing that, in the ways that you do it.
So speaking of changing culture's opinions, right, on the industry, the entertainment industry and what you do for a living, you've got kind of a new exciting project coming up, and we're excited to welcome Damien Tufro, friend of the show, into the studio. So Damien, thank you so much for coming in today. We really appreciate it.
It's great to be here, and thank you for having me and Rebel and Sydney. And
Yeah,
we've been looking forward to this for quite a long time. And,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's obviously today's all about Rebel, but it's certainly happy to be able to talk about the project.
It's a bit of a bonus guest for us right now.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
So you guys have an exciting project that you're working on now. So can you guys tell us a little bit about the project?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You want to start? Or can I start? You
Yeah,
start.
I'll introduce it. We are working on a new reality TV show.
Nice.
Called The Adult Life. It follows me and my 5 best friends around Las Vegas. Who we are as people, as friends, as mothers, as women. You know, living our lives that may be ordinary, but has an extraordinary touch to it.
Sure.
And it just, our tagline is "Don't change the channel, change the culture."
Nice.
That's what we're trying to do with this show. So I'm going to hand it over to Damien to kind of explain his view on it, because it's a wonderful view.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, Damon, what's your role on this project?
I
Creator,
created the
producer?
show, and I'm the co-executive producer.
Wonderful.
I have now a woman I'm working with named Laura Hill, who is going to be working with me as my co-executive producer and as my executive in charge of production. And she's been in the business for about 30 years, and she's come on to the project. I'll get to that in a second. But to start at the beginning, I came up with the idea about 4 or 5 years ago, and I don't mind saying, I think it was maybe about 6 months before the pandemic, and I was on Pornhub scrolling with my one good hand, and I found a scene that was something about these women. Basically, it was 4 or 5 female performers, and they were in a hair and makeup, like Rebel mentioned, and they were just sitting there talking. You know, they had their clothes on. That wasn't the least bit sexually arousing, but I was watching it and listening to what they were saying, and I started thinking, why isn't this a television show? This is really interesting.
Yeah.
You know, and I had a couple contacts in the business who I reached out to, and they were nice enough to support me in the very beginning. And some of those people are no longer with the project. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to create a female-centric show. I wanted to create a show that men would want to watch for obvious reasons. But more importantly, and I think there's the challenge there, is creating a show that about the adult industry that women are going to want to watch. They may or not be sexually aroused by it. That's certainly not the purpose of the show, but they're interested in what these people's lives are like, male and female, of course, male and female performers. My cast right now is all female performers. They're all Vegas-based. And I had this idea that this could be a really terrific way to change the culture a little bit and get more mainstream acceptance for the adult film world, which... And I'll say this, and Rebel and Sydney are probably tired of hearing me say this. I feel that the popular culture and the adult film world are really not that far away from each other. Not, you know, they're kind of, and you just need the right vehicle to make that connection.
Adult entertainment seems like the dark twin of traditional media. Like they're always moving in the same direction. They always have. We just pretend this one whole segment of the market doesn't exist for our feels or whatever.
Right. We pretend that it doesn't exist, but we all know it's a huge part of our lives, whether we want to, admit it or not.
Sure.
And I said, I was watching this clip. I said, I bet these people are really interesting to hang out with off the set, which is really what I was watching. I was watching them just doing hair and makeup and talking amongst themselves. And I've been very, very lucky to meet Rebel and Sydney and several other absolutely wonderful performers who have become part of the cast, who have been incredibly supportive and have seen what I'm trying to create and have seen eye to eye with me on it. And my suspicions are right. These are really terrific people to be around. They're not sex trafficked drug addicts. And let's just take this out into the open. Let's take the adult film world out in the open and create a show that. And I've described the show many times to people, and they're like, "Oh, it's kind of like Real Housewives." I'm like, "Yeah, I mean that's not completely inaccurate, but I like more Sex in the City.
Yeah,
Like let's think sex workers in the city. And when I remember in the 90s watching that show. I'll shut up in a second, by the way. I have a tendency to ramble.
Good.
But I love talking about my show because I'm very, very passionate about it. And Rebel and Cindy have been, and Kiki and everybody else who's involved, and we'll talk about that in a minute, have been so supportive. And they really confirm my suspicion that I think, created a cast of really terrific, interesting people, ordinary people living extraordinary lives. And we can go into specifics. But just getting back to Sex and the City, I remember in the 90s watching it with my male friends. And we loved hearing, we loved the stories. We loved the interaction and the camaraderie between the main cast. And that was really an interesting thing. And I thought, well, I bet you we could do a show like that because I know these people are very close and very supportive of each other. I'll shut up and let you guys ask
We're
questions.
certainly interested in the show. We don't want to get all the beans spilled here
Of course.
today because I believe we're going to have you back independent of Rebel here.
Yeah, I was going to say,
at
the
some
show
point.
is so interesting that we want to do a whole episode about
Yeah.
the show. So we just want to tease it for now, but we're definitely going to have you back.
Great.
as part of
Sounds
the
good to
whole thing.
me.
For the record, by the way, I love Sex in the City. I watch it. Chase always gives me a hard time. We've known each other for a very long time. The way he tells the story is that one day I came to class and I was real bummed and I said, Zodida has cancer.
Oh, I was so mad at you for this.
That's
I was so mad at you for this.
And he was like, who? And I said, Samantha. He was like, who are you talking about? And I was like, oh, I'm watching
I
Sex
thought
in the City.
one of his real friends had been diagnosed with cancer.
No.
And I was like, oh man, I'm sorry. Like, that's terrible news. This is so awful to hear. And he's like, oh no, it's this character on a TV show. And I was like, go fuck yourself.
I still
Got me
maintain
emotionally
that.
invested for no reason.
I still maintain that I was talking about Sex in the City to somebody else, and he just came in mid conversation and missed that part.
screw
But
me for
he's
having
still
empathy.
bitter. Yeah, he's
Right.
still bitter about it. Yeah.
I was, yeah.
Well, Rebel, when Damien kind of came to you, I mean, were you like, did you kind of immediately jump on board, or did it take a minute to kind of process the idea of like, you want to do what now? A reality show?
Yeah.
I was immediately hooked.
Yeah.
Just not because I had opportunities. People come to me about reality shows and trying to do something, with adult performers and just didn't have the best intentions in mind, because there have been documentaries and, people trying to do shows about the industry, and
Sure.
they always want to focus on this negative aspect. That is there. Then nobody's going to deny that. We don't have, rose-colored glasses on.
Sure.
There is a terrible aspect to the industry, but there's also a terrible aspect to the music industry and to secretary life and to, there's negative and dark places in all walks of life.
Yeah.
But to focus on that, and that's all anybody has ever wanted to do in the industry, is focus on those aspects of it. And it's heartbreaking, because we are more than that. And there are so many good people within the industry itself who have so much going on in their lives. I mean, I know women who have complete and total businesses and career sets and goals and hobbies that have nothing to do with the industry. Nobody ever wants to focus on that. Everybody just wants to focus on, oh, were you ever, raped or molested or, taken advantage of, or did you do drugs, or
The
who died,
low-hanging fruit
who
of
committed suicide? Let's focus on that. And
Yeah.
and it's just so disheartening, and very sad to see. And nobody wants to be taken advantage of like that. You don't ever want somebody to come in and be like, oh yeah, we're going to do a show about you, and then focus on, all of these negative aspects and, try to guide it in that direction.
I call that tragedy
And-
mining. Like,
yes.
It's awful.
Exactly.
There's a lot of people in the world that's like, just tell me the horrible shit.
Yes, exactly. And so when Damien came to me, it was at an AVN.
Yep. 2 years ago.
Yep. I just saw him and his genuine self, and his idea and his thought process about this was just so positive. And then his credentials. I mean, Damien's not going to say this, but he has, 12? 11 Emmys? Emmy Awards.
You don't even need a shelf. You need a bookcase
Yes,
for all those Emmys.
lining the walls of his house.
Yeah.
It is so impressive.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful camera operator. He has so much credentials under his belt. He has worked with so many amazing reality shows, talk shows, Dancing with the Stars, award shows, like you name it, he's probably done it, and it's just incredible. his resume, you know. And so taking that along with his passion and positive outlook on this it just is a combination for a really yummy cake, you know.
Yeah,
and I wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to help make it happen in any way that I could. And I just looked at Damien and I was like, Damien, I have a wonderful group of friends, you know. I would like you to come out and meet us and see if this is the direction that you'd like to take this show in, you know. And I would say it worked out pretty damn well.
Yeah. I mean, we're sitting here, so it's, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Well, it's so cool that it sounds like the show is going to be such a positive force of good that we're excited to kind of bring it along. You know, like I said, Damien, we're going to have you back because we want to talk about the show a lot more in depth. Yeah, for sure.
Terrific. I look forward to coming back, and thank you. And let me just leave it with Rebel and Sydney have been such a big part of this and so supportive. And we wouldn't be here talking. That's not just because Rebel's but I wouldn't be here talking and having this much going on so far but it hadn't been the support of Rebel and Sydney. So it means the world to me, and I look forward to coming back and speaking about the show.
Yeah, absolutely. We got homework for everybody. You got to start thinking of a cocktail. We can help you design one, but you know.
Something with tequila.
There you go. Very nice. A Rebel not involved in that one. Yeah, fair enough. Well, but as we start to wind down, there was one bullet point we skimmed over that I'm really curious.
Okay.
I know you love Beetlejuice. Did you see Beetlejuice 2?
Of course,
and
in
what were
theaters.
your thoughts? Yeah, what were your thoughts?
I loved it.
Nice.
I
Okay.
loved it. Okay, so it's hard when shows try to recreate, or a movie tries to recreate the original premise, or, you know, and it just kind of feels lost.
You can't ever go
feel
home
like,
again, you know?
Yeah, I feel like they weren't trying to live up to the hype of the original, but they did allow themselves to touch on certain things to bring back aspects of the original, and to keep that that foundation. But they added this entire storyline that just makes sense, and Jenna Ortega's just fucking phenomenal in it, you know, and I feel like she was really great for the part, and she added along in that cast so beautifully. So yeah, it was absolutely amazing.
I was there for Bob.
Yeah,
Bob's the
Bob,
greatest the greatest wingman in cinematic history.
Yeah. Oh, everybody likes a shrunken head friend that can't say anything.
Yes, exactly.
But I tell you, my biggest thing watching that movie was Keaton hasn't lost a step. Like he was Beetlejuice, man. He was right back.
It was wonderful. Yeah.
Oh god. Well, good. Well, I was once I learned that we learned that you were a big fan of Beetlejuice, I gotta ask her about Beetlejuice.
Yeah,
too.
it was amazing. I went and saw it with my sister.
Oh, you think they're gonna do Beetlejuice 3?
I don't know.
I think they will.
I think it did well enough that they could.
It did incredibly
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Good.
So,
All right. Well, there you go. We'll have you back on for Beetlejuice
Especially
3.
for what
wonderful.
Tim Burton still got it somewhere in there. So if people want to keep up with you online and all the various ways that you exist online, where can they find you? Where can they follow you? How should they keep up with you and keep in touch?
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter at I am the Rebel Lynn. And then on Instagram at the Rebel Lynn XOXO. And then can we do OnlyFans on
You can mention what you want.
Okay,
anything you'd like.
my OnlyFans is I am the Rebel Lynn. And then my spicy AI is RebelLynnAI.com. I believe that's right. Yeah. Is it the Rebel Lynn AI or Rebel Lynn AI? Hold on. Yeah, it's RebelLynnAI.com.
We'll interview her next.
Yes, you should. That'd be so interesting.
Who's better? Yeah.
That'd be so interesting, honestly. And then I think that's all. And then just keep your eye out for the adult life.
Yeah, we're so excited.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing.
As I'm staring here at about 3 empty glasses now, I think it's about time to wrap it up. But Rebel, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you
was
for
a real
having
treat.
me.
So yeah, absolutely.
This is
Well, anytime you're in
wonderful.
town, we'd love to have you back.
I would love to come back. It was wonderful talking with you guys. Thank you for challenging me with new questions and, you know, different perspective on how to interview a porn star. It's wonderful.
That's right. And we
wanted to be a useful interview. we could ask you all the dumb questions, but everybody knows those answers already.
And absolutely, worst case scenario, if you get nothing else out of it, we'll give you the recipe for the drink so that if you like it, you can make it at home. Yeah.
Oh, baby, I watched you make those drinks. I was watching very closely. Yes.
Very good.
Beautiful.
Thank you, listeners at home, for joining us today. We hope this was informative and exciting and a little bit titillating. So if you want to keep up with us, you can follow us on Instagram at 2drinkmaximum, which is TWODRINKMAXIMUM.
Never did I think you'd screw up the word two instead of maximum.
I'm
That's a
gonna
new
pick
one for
part
you.
of it.
Fair
I'll
enough.
mess up a new. I also have ice in my mouth from the drink. So make the challenge. Thank you to the Muserooms for hosting us in this wonderful creative space. Check them out at themuserooms.com. That's MUSE for Muse. And thanks for joining us today, everybody.
Kisses.
Cheers.